This is episode 148 of Zen and the Art of Real Estate Investing with my guest, Alyssa Holbrook. Alyssa helps first-time investors and seasoned experts create passive income and generational wealth by teaching mindset and strategy of real estate investing. And P.S. Alyssa is our first two-time guest, not counting episode 100 where she interviewed me, but Alyssa was first on episode 34, where life coaching and real estate investing meet. And now she's back for a second time. Alyssa, welcome to the show. Welcome back. Yeah.
So glad to be here.
Yeah, I feel like we need to some confetti to come down. But yeah, you're a very important second guest. We're obviously very good friends and we've become good friends. And we were talking just before, I didn't even know you when I interviewed you back, what the episode came out in March, but we recorded it well before that in 2023. Why do you think on a mindset level, we've become such good friends and talked so much about real estate investing?
I think because we just see the world in the same way. Like when you see that mindset is the thing behind being successful in real estate, the ability of who you have and to become in real estate is huge. So we both view real estate as a transformational experience, and real estate's the vehicle whereby you're changing, having more awareness and then becoming that version of yourself that you want to be.
In terms of your training, you're a coach now. On the first episode, you were really kind of just starting with coaching then, right? I mean, you had a few clients, but now that's mushroomed a lot in the last more than a year. What type of clienteles are you taking on now? And how important is this one-on-one relationship from you to client? Because I think this will help people understand what true coaching is really about.
Yeah. Okay. So I started coaching in 2018 and I had clients all along the way, 10 to 15 clients. But what changed along the way was me.
Yeah.
I was being coached and changing, and my process was changing. So yes, a year ago, that was more into the real estate side of things, that's where I was getting more specialized. And I would say the tools that I have for sure have changed. The process, there's just processes developed for so many different things, where I feel like people can ask a question and it's like, oh yeah, I've coached someone on this before, most every single time. But the type of clientele that I work with is really interesting. That's also evolved. At the beginning, it was mostly people wanting to do house hacking and kind of smaller investing. Now, it's people with, often a $5 to $10 million net worth. Sometimes they just have a $2 million net worth or something, but they're often ER doctors, an executive at T-Mobile. Those are the types of clientele. And so that's changed a little bit, including some people getting into syndications and things like that as well. I have some clients right now who just made an offer on, it's a DaVita dialysis center in Alabama, and it's in not a great area. And it was so good because I see them being real about it. They're like, all right, this is the fact of what we're getting. Their returns higher than 12%. Awesome. And they're like, yes, but this is the asset that we're buying. And we recognize the risks that go along with that. And we're willing to move forward because we want our financial goal. I have another client who just bought a brand new home that is returning very little, but she doesn't want to deal with the issues.
Yeah. And those are both good investments because they're vetted. They've taken the time to decide what matches what they want.
And sometimes you can overcome the work. So for them, they're willing to take intimidation and strategy over work. So it's a multi-tenant property, and one of the tenants only has a few months left on the property or on the lease. And so by them deciding to take on that risk, but saying, oh, here are the people who would be a good fit for this, and we feel confident we can put a new tenant in. And then also saying, well, it's a triple net property. And so they just have to maintain the structure and the roof's replaced. They know how they can minimize their downside and minimize their risk, though the area and maybe the clientele isn't their favorite. I see people this is one that I really deal with as well, is wanting to know every detail on a property before you
that's a great one.
Make an offer, right? And you can just spend so much time thinking is this the best property? Is the best property that I could possibly get? Is there going to be a better property in a year? And never move forward and kind of find one little thing that's wrong with it and justify not making an offer. And so it just keeps you out of the game when in reality, that property might have been just fine. And 2 years from now, they're probably going to be worth more.
Yeah. If I ever get 13 questions before we even submit an offer, and they're all basically on the due diligence portion, whether that be traditional home inspection or, vetting on commercial. You're like, you're not prepared for this, because
Ah,
you can't have that many questions, or you need to go see it again, but there's something that you're missing. I think that some people want to eliminate the risk, and that's perfectionism, but there's
yeah,
always some form of risk. The cool thing about real estate is it's tangible. So you can
right,
see it. So
right.
you can evaluate the risk that you know about in almost all forms up front. And part of that, to get to that due diligence part, usually you have to agree on a contract to move to that stage. For people now, I mean, since the last time we talked on the air, things have changed. Rates are high. People are looking at different assets. It's a different way of looking at real estate. How important is this adjusted mindset for real estate? Because at any point, we could go into a different cycle. The economy could change, and different markets have different rates. So thinking like, well, I'm looking at a national trend. That doesn't mean that your market, wherever you are, isn't going to be a much better market than the national trend. How do you keep people set on their mindset to make sure that they're in motion? Because that's something that we know is important. Are you still staying in the game? Meaning you don't have to buy a property every year, but you
Right.
better be doing investing things and vetting ones and saying no to deals, or else you're not getting enough reps to move forward.
Yeah, I think one of the keys is to know when you're in what I call low value cycles and going and bringing yourself back to a high value cycle more quickly. So know what your version of feeling down or lacking momentum sounds like and what it looks like. And then take yourself to, I like to do something where you write out, like, here are the things that I do know. Here are the things that I know about the market versus all my drama about it. And then second, I would say adaptability is huge. So not being too bent on one thing, like, especially I think of that with short-term rentals and Airbnb is like,
Yeah.
this isn't the market to hop right in unless you have some edge on the market. And so just being able to change. And then I think also sometimes that change is going to involve investing out of state where
Yeah.
there are certain areas that it doesn't make sense to invest from a return basis. And so you're going to be looking at other markets, making sure that they align with your final goal that you want to reach, and then shifting and overcoming the mindset that it takes to not be nervous about those markets and investing out of
Yeah.
state and all the uncertainty that comes with that.
Yeah, I think it's really important for people to be adaptable because things change, and inside local markets they change. I
Hmm.
also think that some people get a little bit too adaptable and they just look at everything.
Yeah.
So I'll invest in anything as long as it's a good return. This week specifically, I've been talking a lot about mentorship. Do you have advice for people who want to find mentors? Because I feel like the most common question out there, or the way that people phrase it, is, hey, I'd like a mentor. How can you help people find the right mentor? Because I feel like finding the right mentor is like pre-coaching. You just want to find
Mm.
somebody, but I don't think they're delivering themselves in a good light because it's a one-way ask for most people.
For the most part, I mean, I don't think I would ever go approach someone without having some type of a value add and saying, what can I like, here's how I can add help. Here's how I can what I can contribute to you. Maybe it's money that you have to put in the deal, or maybe it's some expertise that you have in systems or in
Yeah,
operations.
exactly.
But in general, I think what makes sense is actually just hiring and vetting a coach. Like, I would just say that is your mentor. A lot of people think of my coaching as mentorships because that's essentially what it is. But there's a value exchange in that is set. And then you know that the mentor, I don't know, I just see it as like karma. I just see it as like energy. There's an energetic exchange there, and
Yeah.
money is the way in which we do that. So I would really
Yeah.
ask yourself, why are you trying to get something for nothing?
Yeah, and let me get your take on this because I said a couple times this week that if you show up long enough, whether it be at meetups or groups, and you're involved and you're meeting people through after 6 months of consistent meetings, you're going to find a mentor. You're just not going to have to ask to someone to be your mentor. You're going to find this
Mhm.
win-win relationship because you're a participant who's adding value. You're not asking for anything. I feel like once you ask, you're asking to get pitched. And I don't like to get pitched, as you know. So it's like, I'm just going to build the relationship. And then when you say, hey, you want to meet up for lunch one day, it's not, hey, do you want to meet up for lunch so you can teach me all about real estate investing? It's like, I like you. let's meet up for lunch. Since you both invest, like you're probably going to
Right.
talk about investing, but treat them to a meal later, not in the beginning with this, hey, do you have 15 minutes for coffee? Like there's nothing I would want to do less than that other than like skydive, like I'm not just going to take someone up. I don't need a coffee. I don't drink coffee, but I could get a tea on my own. So what's in it for me, I think is fair on a mentor side.